Picture this. You're some soccer mum in your Volvo, and suddenly God's voice is booming through your back window with an Austrian accent. Hey, idiot, get out of the road. That's Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger, riding around in a custom beast with a 6.6-litre heart transplant, leather guts, terrorizing random civilians on Pacific Palisades streets. The thing about Arnold's custom Jeep Wagoneer isn't that it costs more than your house. Massive as a tank, blasting through his PA system like some roided out parking attendant. Because when you're Arnold, even your practical jokes need horsepower. This was a scene that wasn't even in the film. It was just Arnold being Arnold between takes of Commando. A display of masculine aggression and playground humour that might as well have been the film's mission statement. Commando was how Arnold became Arnold, how action became comedy, how violence became a punchline. Arnold added something else, permission to enjoy the ride. But to understand how we got here, how a muscle-bound kid from Austria hijacked American action cinema, becoming its favourite killing machine with a smile, we've got to go back. Here's how you destroy a Hollywood dream. Tell a muscle-bound Austrian he's too big, his accent's too thick, his name's unpronounceable. Tell him he'll never make it. Here's how you build a superstar. Take all that rejection and turn it into rocket fuel. Picture this. 20 sweating wannabes in an acting class, arranged in a horseshoe like some twisted group therapy session. And then there's Arnold. The teacher, Eric Morris, sees him sitting there, volcanic rage barely contained, like a pressure cooker about to blow. Arnold stands up, all muscle and accent and fury. I'm pissed off, he spits. It's bullshit. They don't like my name. They don't like my accent. They don't like my body. But fuck them. I don't care if I ever become an actor, he says. And this is important. I'm going to become a superstar. For a moment, there's this thing called silence. This is the part where most people would break, would cave, would let Hollywood win. But Arnold, he's not most people. Here's the thing about rejection. It's only valid if you accept the rules of the game. Arnold didn't just change the rules. He created a new game entirely. While everyone else in that acting class was trying to master their craft, Arnold was mastering the art of becoming inevitable. The conventional wisdom said he needed to fit in, take serious roles, play the victim, be more actorly. He chose different. Most people try to fix their weaknesses. Arnold turned his problems into his product. Too muscular? Make it your trademark. Thick accent? Make it quotable. Name too long? Make it unforgettable. Hollywood hit Arnold as hard as it could. He hit back harder. And that's how you become a fucking legend. 1985, the year Hollywood's DNA mutated. When bullets stopped making sense and started making statements. When blood splatter became modern art. The 1980s were mainlining pure spectacle straight into America's eyeballs, while the 1970s were off lying in a ditch somewhere, bleeding out their gritty realism. This wasn't just another year in movies. It was the year testosterone met celluloid, in a way we hadn't seen before. Rambo just carpet-bombed the box office for $300 million. That's the kind of number that makes studio executives see God. The kind of number that makes them forget about things like plausibility and physics. And then there's Arnold, fresh from playing a killer robot, standing at the crossroads of his career like some muscle-bound Hamlet. To be, or not to be, a leading man. That's the fucking question. The scoreboard so far. One bit part as a bodybuilder. One disaster in cowboy boots. One hit as a barbarian. One sword-swinging flop. One iconic turn as a mechanical murderer. Every studio executive with a cocaine habit and a corner office was hunting for the next cash cow. They found it in a former bodybuilder who could barely speak English. Every magazine, every newspaper, every producer asking, "But can he be as big as Sly?" You want to know about pressure? Try having Sylvester Stallone's shadow hanging over you like the sword of Damocles. Here's what $12 million sounds like in 1985. "This guy Schwarzenegger is a phenomenon." That's Barry Diller, Fox chairman, watching the Terminator blow up the box office. That's the sound of a studio executive having a religious experience. That's how revolutions start in Hollywood. Not with art, but with arithmetic. Commando wasn't born. It was forged in the nuclear reactor of 80s excess, where physics went to die and one-liners went to multiply. Before Commando, action stars were either stoic killing machines or troubled souls seeking redemption. After, they could be both massive and magnetic, powerful and playful, deadly and delightful. Picture a pile of dead scripts in Fox's basement. Somewhere in there, buried under years of rejection, there's this depressing little story about an Israeli soldier. The kind of thing that we're going to give to Gene Simmons or Nick Nolte. The kind of thing that wins awards and loses money. Then Joel Silver and Steven D'Souza get their hands on it. This is how evolution works in Hollywood. You take a serious drama, you inject it with steroids, you teach it to tell jokes, and then you watch it mutate into something else. Here's a fun fact. During filming, they'd kill stuntmen, slap fake mustaches on them, then kill them again. In Hollywood, even death is recycled. Here's how you make a god in 1985's America. Take a 6'2" slab of Austrian beef named Arnold Schwarzenegger, oil him up, point a camera at his biceps. That's biceps first, man second. In Hollywood, the body always comes before the soul. This wasn't just about making movies anymore. This was about claiming territory, about planting your flag in the action hero mountain and daring anyone to climb higher. From the very outset, Commando knows exactly what it is. While other action films of the era tried to justify their violence with political commentary or moral messaging, Commando just wants to entertain. It's not trying to be important. It's trying to be unforgettable. Sometimes the best way to connect isn't to elevate the conversation. It's to perfect the art of embracing your own absurdity. And that's the real legacy of Commando. Not the best action movie ever made, but maybe the most honest. It promises ridiculous entertainment and delivers exactly that, with a smile and a body count. Here's what most people miss about Commando and the Terminator: the garbage truck. The film announces its intentions from the very first scene, not with explosions or one-liners, but with the ominous sound of this seemingly mundane vehicle. In both films, this mechanical intrusion signals the eruption of extraordinary violence into ordinary life. This motif of disrupted domesticity runs throughout the entire film. Now here's a fun game. Let's count the dead normal people. One man taking out the trash. One car salesman. One fisherman. Good guys who tried to blend in, who tried to make the system work. You know what they got for their trouble? Death by garbage duty. Death by test drive. Death by just trying to catch some fucking fish. Here's the thing about action heroes circa 1985. They suffer. They brood. They have Nam flashbacks and drinking problems. Commando asked, what if they could smile instead? The movie switches to our mountain-dwelling Ubermensch carrying a tree. Not a branch, not a log, a fucking tree. It's not an act of labour with purpose, not for shelter, not for warmth. It's pure performance. a display of power that sets Matrix apart from the productive toil of ordinary society. This is hitting your audience over the head with a metaphorical piece of lumber until they understand this man's a force of nature. Every shot of Matrix is propaganda, every frame a monument to hypermasculine excess, shot like Leni Riefenstahl directing a Mountain Dew commercial. The film's images are pure fascist kitsch by way of Reagan's America. The glistening muscles, the low angles, the mythological framing. The camera doesn't just observe, it genuflects. Commando's a movie that understands the architecture of excess. The camera worships Schwarzenegger's form like some Renaissance master circling his marble, each flex and ripple telling stories about power, fear, and the American dream's twisted love affair with violence. But there's an added wink in there, a gleam of self-awareness that separates this beast from the pack. One minute he's Hercules hauling timber, the next he's Snow White on steroids, feeding deer with his daughter. The film drafting its satire in sweat and gunpowder. This wasn't in the action hero handbook. This wasn't what Stallone's doing. Here's the thing about action heroes circa 1985. They don't feed deer. They don't eat ice cream with their kids. They don't do domesticity. But Matrix, he's powered by pure paternal fury. The father-daughter thing isn't just Hollywood window dressing, it's the fucking engine. His mountain retreat isn't just scenic backdrop, it's a metaphor wrapped in muscle and mortar. Picture a fortress masquerading as better homes and gardens, America's wet dream of untamed masculine isolation, the normal life. But something's off. Smoke rising from the chimney in summer heat. This isn't home sweet home, this is a predator playing house, and the game could end at any moment. Watch the way he reads threats in axe blade reflections, scans the tree line while flipping pancakes, tries to convince himself he's not just a weapon with a kid attached. His radar never switches off. Before you hear the chopper, he's already tensed. While his daughter chatters over breakfast, he's catching danger signals you can't even see. When questioned about his ability to smell enemies, he simply responds, "I could." Even the nerve-jangling soundtrack plays mind games with us. While Matrix is playing daddy, the score hits you with this whiplash combo of upbeat jazz and sweeping orchestra. It's all wrong, deliberately wrong, telling us this is temporary. The film splits his world clean in two, mountain versus metropolis, civilization versus savagery, pure versus poisoned. Drop this tiger in the concrete jungle and watch him rage. When the shit hits the fan, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in a modernist nightmare of escalators and glass, commerce and chaos. The shopping mall becomes a killing field of right angles and retail. Our boy's gone from paradise to purgatory, trading his mountain sanctuary for a descent into industrial hell. It all comes to a head in a boiler room that looks like Satan's basement. All steam and steel and hissing pipes. A perfect mirror world version of his mountain paradise, where every natural thing has been twisted into mechanical menace. The homoerotic tension between Matrix and Bennett serves a deeper symbolic purpose. Bennett is the dark reflection of Matrix's shadow self. His leather daddy nightmare represents a corrupted version of military masculinity, an embodiment of what happens when you let the violence take the wheel and lock humanity in the trunk. Bennett's not just a villain, he's a warning of what Matrix could become if he fully embraced his violent nature without the humanizing influence of fatherhood. Their final fight, fought amidst steam, steel, and dick-measuring metaphors, isn't just where accounts get settled. It's where the man who tried to live in two worlds has to choose which kind of monster he wants to be. Even his name tells a story, embodying the character's own contradictions. The name fits because it contains multitudes. He's both ordinary John and extraordinary Matrix, soldier and father, protector and destroyer, man and weapon. And here's the real mindfuck. Just like you can't escape a matrix, that web of forces that shapes and traps us, our boy John can't escape what he is. The film dangles the question like a live grenade. Can a man built for war ever truly come home? Because Commando isn't just about violence. It's meta-commentary suggesting that all violence is essentially performance art. A blood-soaked Broadway where every kill needs its punchline. Matrix isn't just wasting bad guys, he's putting on a show, dropping one-liners that sound like Hallmark cards written during a psychotic break. The famous gearing up montage is a metonym for military ritual, turning getting dressed into high art. Schwarzenegger, stripped down to nothing but raw muscle and conviction, performs what amounts to a warrior's communion. The camera fetishizes every detail. Boots methodically laced, ammunition clips snapped home, war paint applied like sacred oils. James Horner's score throbs beneath like a tribal drumbeat, while Arnold, moving with precision, transforms himself from man to walking arsenal. Like a modern-day Achilles donning divine armor, Matrix builds himself piece by lethal piece into a perfect fusion of flesh and steel. The Wagnerian mist drifts across frame, those heaven-sent shafts of light, turns a simple gear-up sequence into a sacred rite. Producer Joel Silver orchestrated this arsenal like a maestro, hand-picking never-before-filmed weapons like a kid in the world's deadliest candy store. In 1985's America, there's no such thing as too much firepower. The public didn't just want action, they wanted a detailed catalogue of every piece of military hardware their tax dollars could buy. And we're not just watching a soldier prep for battle, we're witnessing the birth of an archetype, a template for every action hero who'd follow, each learning to kill with a smile and a catchphrase. October 1985. Box office number 1, $57.4 million worldwide. This is what revolution sounds like at the cash register. Sure, Rambo made more bank, but Commando pulled off a different kind of cultural alchemy. They didn't just build a character, they cracked the fucking code. A blueprint, the Schwarzenegger formula. 1 part superhuman tank, 1 part stand-up comedian. A dash of heart to make you care. Shake well, and garnish with C4. The audience wasn't just buying tickets to violence anymore, they were buying permission to enjoy the whole bloody circus. Arnold didn't just star in an action movie, he rewrote the rules about who gets to be a hero in America. This wasn't just Arnold's movie, this was a 90-minute fuck you to every suit who said his accent was too thick, his name unpronounceable, his muscles too much. It's Arnold teaching Hollywood that foreign doesn't mean other, it means next. This is what success looks like in Hollywood. Executives praising your genius, critics discovering your depth, everyone pretending your action movie about shooting people is Citizen fucking Kane. At the premiere, there's this beautiful moment of culture clash. Arnold's old European buddy Sven-Ole Thorsen, fresh off the boat and still cursed with honesty, stands up. Yeah, it's good, but isn't it only a 7? Later, Arnold corners him. Sven, what the fuck is wrong with you? What do you mean, Sven says. I was being honest. Yeah, but don't you know this is the movie business? This is what learning looks like in Hollywood. Truth is whatever sells tickets. This is what success looks like in Hollywood. Knowing when to lie. The critics were too busy calling him the most engaging of the new killing machine leading men to realize what they were watching, something that shouldn't exist. a tender Terminator, a funny Frankenstein, a beast who can hug his kid with the same hands he uses to snap spines. This wasn't just influence, this was infection. Commando was cinema's patient zero. Look at your Marvel Universe, your Fast and Furious Family Man, every hero who's learned to crack wise while cracking skulls. That's all Matrix DNA. That's Commando's bastard children coming home to roost. The real mindfuck? This R-rated bloodbath became a brand repackaged as kiddie merchandise. Action figures, t-shirts, little Tommies eating PB&J off an image of a man who just impaled someone with a steam pipe. This is childhood meeting mass murder in the toy aisle. This is capitalism saying, fuck it, and going all in. This is America in the 80s, looking up at the screen and watching its own beautiful, violent, contradictory self, staring back and loving it. In the end, Matrix tells Bennett to let off some steam after impaling him with a pipe. The audience laughs. The studio execs count their money. The steam rising from Bennett's corpse. That's the old order evaporating, making way for something new. American action cinema, evolving from trauma to triumph, from haunted to heroic. And somewhere in the Pacific Palisades, a soccer mum still has nightmares about an Austrian accent booming through her back window. But what she really heard was the sound of Hollywood's tectonic plates shifting. The moment when the outsider became the icon, when the monster learned to dance, and kept on dancing straight to the fucking bank.